So you've been in therapy for at least 5 months now, and you haven't been experiencing the changes that you thought you were going to get. You see from everything on social media, from the news, that therapy is the place to go if you're struggling with depression, anxiety, grief, or even relationship issues. But yet you have not reaped the benefits that everyone's been promising. So now you're asking yourself, is this right for me? What should I do next? Are there other options? And in this podcast, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you guys what to do if therapy is not working. Now, as a therapist, I must say therapy does work, but it's not the only thing that you should be focused on when going through your journey. And the purpose of this podcast is to show you guys everything to do to maximize your therapy sessions. But also, if you find yourself hitting the wall, I want to normalize that in this moment right now. Going to therapy is kind of like going to the gym, where you're going to have your peaks and valleys. You're going to be in there lifting, right? So doing all the mental work. And you may not be able to see the changes just yet. But the thing is when other people see you, they are able to see the changes, just like when you go to the gym. So I want you guys to stay faithful throughout the process while at the same time knowing what to do if therapy is not working. So before I get any further into the podcast, for all the new listeners to the show, I want to tell you guys the purpose of this podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to help take you guys inside of what a therapy session looks like. That's right. My goal is to help you guys to feel like you're in therapy without actually having to go to see a therapist. And the reason why is because sometimes people have these, let's say, hang-ups, scared to go, right? Or maybe financially they find a reason why they can't go, which I would say is a little bit of an excuse. But nonetheless, there's something getting in the way of you going to therapy. And I want to bring you guys inside the room and show you guys what actually happens in there. And that's what we're going to do, because these are real topics that I have with many of my clients. So with that being said, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and let's jump right into these topics. So one of the therapies that I practice as a therapist is called acceptance and commitment therapy. And it's exactly what it sounds like, where we help people to learn how to accept things that they cannot change while staying committed to the things that they can change. Now, there's this one metaphor that we use in this room, right? And what it's called is dead man's goals. And the reason why we say this is because there are certain goals people come into therapy with that are only accomplished by dead people, right? And what I mean by that is people come to therapy saying, I don't want to feel sad anymore. I don't want to have negative thoughts. I always want to feel happy, or I don't want to feel so, let's say, anxious all the time. Or these are goals that only people who are not breathing can accomplish. And that is not the goal of therapy. And that's not the goal that you should have when it comes to these feelings and these thoughts. A lot of times people think that therapy isn't working because their goals are not right goals. And that's the first point that I want to make when it comes to therapy. If you find that therapy is not working, the first thing you need to do is to redefine your goals for going into therapy. Because at this moment, you may have some goals that still exacerbates your perfectionism, right? So when you think about never wanting to feel anxiety, never wanting to have negative thoughts, these are all goals based in the same perfectionism that actually brought you into therapy. And we want to be able to let go of those things by now redefining what progress actually looks like. So if you're struggling at this moment, ask yourself, are there other goals that I need to come up? Are there better goals that I need to come up with that'll help me to feel like progress is being made? Because here's the thing, something that's more important than, let's say, always feeling happy or never feeling sad, and you would probably agree with this, it'll be something like spending time, valuable time with your family. Or maybe it's being able to take a business idea and manifesting it and making it a reality. These are goals that a lot of people come into therapy wanting, but they feel as though the anxiety and the depression is getting in the way. And that is what we want to make sure that we don't let happen. It's not that the anxiety or depression is getting in the way. It's that you're using this as an excuse not to continue pursuing the goals that you have. This is why we tell you guys that the framework that we're practicing is called acceptance and commitment therapy. And what's funny about this is that if you actually look at the abbreviations, ACT is ACT. And the reason why that's so ironic is that we want you to always be acting. In other words, always taking action. And this is something I want you guys to truly, truly believe in when I say this. Medication is not a death sentence. Medication doesn't mean that you're the worst of the worst when it comes to your mental health. No, medication is something that actually helps to bolster the therapy that you're in. And the way that it does that is by reducing the volume that the emotions that you have come in. And what this means is someone can have anxiety, but someone may find themselves having full-blown panic attacks. And this is getting in the way of their work, their ability to hang out with friends. So this is where you develop agoraphobia. These things are tough to deal with if all you're doing is psychotherapy. It's not impossible, because I've done this with clients, but it's not rare for me to have a client who's seeing me for therapy, but also have a psychiatrist that they're seeing. Now, the goal of medication is not for you to be on it forever. Trust me, that is not the goal. The goal is to help to reduce the intensity of the emotions so that you can implement certain strategies to help take your life to the next level. These new lifestyle changes, whether it's getting better sleep, being able to manage your thoughts better, all these things, they help to make sure that the anxiety doesn't peak the way that it was, which was causing you the anxiety, which was ultimately getting in the way of the life that you're trying to live, okay? Now, I know I'm using anxiety as an example. I could easily substitute that for things like ADHD medication, depression, so many different things. It is not a one-shot thing where you only do medication. It's something that you use to help bolster your psychotherapy for a limited amount of time. And then you actually come off the medication and then you just use the therapy that was given. So in this point number 2, I want you guys to do, if therapy isn't working, I want you to speak to a psychiatrist, okay, guys? It's gonna be point number 2. This is something I tell my clients who have been through the worst of the worst. My clients who have lost a loved one through death, maybe have lost a child, right? I've never experienced that. Pray to God that I never have to go through that. And this has happened, guys. But there are certain stories that you've never heard, or stories that you've heard in movies and thought this can only happen in a movie. It's happened to my clients and they've come in and they talk to me, right? Even with clients that have pre-existing conditions. So this can be conditions that are, let's say, STI related. This could be conditions that are related to things like lupus or cancer, or not being able to have kids, right? Like these lifelong pre-existing conditions, they can cause a level of depression that maybe you are not aware of. Now, with these clients, I tell them that what we do in therapy is important and you're not gonna stop that. And that goes with the first 2 points that I made. But what's also very important is that you find a community. And this is gonna be point number 3 that you're gonna do if therapy is not working. I need you guys to find a community that's based around the thing that you're struggling with. And the reason why is because it creates a very valuable thing called self-compassion, right? Self-compassion is all about removing the uniqueness from your condition, from your story, and understanding that other people are going through the exact same thing. When this happens, it allows you to become a little bit more easier on yourself and not feel like an alien when it comes to the things that you're struggling with. Because you could think, woe is me, or I'm the only one, or why me? Why is it that I have to go through this grief? Why is it that I have to go through losing a loved one, whether it be through divorce or what have you, right? Why me? And when you see other people have gone through this and they've been able to create a life after the trauma, right? And this is also people that have been through sexual abuse, right? So many different things I can name. You give yourself hope. And that's what we want to do. Hope is a very strong thing. And I'll even say this, if you have not read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, I'll talk about that book a lot in this podcast. I need you to read it because it helps to serve that when you find hope or when you find meaning, you're able to get through some of the toughest moments in your life. And that is what community does. So with that being said, I want to tell you guys about a community that I have, which is called the Mental Performance Club. It's in the link in my bio, but I'll also put it in the comments. This community is for people that are going through depression and are looking to get to the next level in their life, but they feel that they don't have any tools. They don't want to go to therapy. They want to find someone that's going to just give them the teachings, the coaching, things like this, right? Things like this podcast. That is what this community is all about. And it's all about helping entrepreneurs and professionals just like you to take their life and their careers to the next level. If that sounds like you, we'd love for you guys to join. There's actually a free trial that you can get. You can join that and you can actually get all the free gifts that come with that without actually being a member. So I would love for you guys to check that out. And I'm gonna give you guys everything that I have when I get into that session in that room with you guys when you join the Mental Performance Club. Now, with that being said, I wanna go ahead and go over these 3 main points that I want you guys to remember if therapy is not working. So the first point that I made is that you guys need to redefine your goals. Dead man goals are not attainable. You do not want to fall victim to that. Meaning, you wanna have goals that are realistic, that are not based in perfectionism. Okay. The second point that I made is that you need to speak with a psychiatrist. Again, medication is not a death sentence, and we need to remove that stigma right here, right now. And then the last point that I made is that you need to find a community. This is by far the biggest thing that I tell my clients who are going through the biggest trials in their lives. Once you find a community, you can easily find hope, and that hope will help you to get through your get through. So with that being said, my name is Coach Wells. Thanks for subscribing, and make sure you check out the Mental Performance Club. There's a free trial waiting for you. All right, guys, I'll see you later.